They're working on a deal now. They're holding discussions, which is forced by two actions of Walker. One is he cut off their pay. Secondly, he said that if you ever set foot in Wisconsin, we'll arrest you and bring you into the Senate. And that means they can't go back and forth and visit. Before that, they were only liable to arrest when the legislature was sitting. And finally, he made clear that unless they come back and vote his savings program, he's going to have to lay off 1,500 workers. So the clock's ticking, and I think they're giving in. Now, they're negotiating. The key thing Walker wants to protect, and I don't think he's giving in on this, and I don't think he will, is limiting collective bargaining to wages and benefits so that he can proceed with his education reforms. The other thing he wants is that the unions have to collect their dues rather than have it automatically deducted. That'll cut their dues collections in half. And he wants them to pay more for health insurance and pensions. He's going to win all of those elements. The two things he's going to compromise on are ancillary parts of his package. There's a bill that says you can only negotiate a cost of living adjustment up to the rate of inflation in your contracts unless the voters waive that in a referendum. That provision may be thrown out. And the other is he says that every year the union has to stand for election with its own members and get kind of recertified. That may be dropped also. And I think that might be a face-saving compromise for the Democrats, but a big victory for Walker.
I don't see that happening. Because, I mean, we've had both sides of the aisle on this for the past few nights, and, you know, there's always a lot of bravado, and people say it's never going to happen, but it ultimately does. But I haven't even seen, like, one little tiny bit of give on either side on this particular issue.
Yeah. Well, I'm in touch with a lot of those people, and I think this is the inside story of what's happening.
Well, I hope you're right, but so far we haven't seen them. All right, what about the people of Wisconsin? Because one of the big issues is that if indeed it's true that now they can't refinance the bond so that they save $30 million or $165 million, whatever these huge numbers are, if that's a big hit for the taxpayers, someone's going to have to pay the price for that. So you think with the Republicans or the Democrats? Yeah,
with the interest rate so low, the state can take bonds that it sold at a higher rate and refinance them, just like homeowners do with their mortgages. But they can't do it unless the legislature approves it. It would be approved unanimously, but they got to be there because they need a quorum. So the Democrats are going to force these layoffs as opposed to the relatively easy thing of lowering the interest rate on your debt. So I think they're going to be forced back.
All right, well, we'll have to wait and see. All right, now, brand new book. Revolt, how to defeat Obama, repeal his socialist programs. I guess we know how you feel about President Obama.
Well, you know, Greta, we're all in the same boat these days, all conservatives. We're asking the same question. We won a couple of governorships. We won some state legislatures. We got control of the House, but we still have a hostile Senate, and we still have President Obama. So how do we repeal these programs? How do we cut back the spending and still defeat him in 2010? And this book answers that question. It's a 300-page roadmap that tells you how to defund Obamacare, how to protect talk radio from the FCC, how to stop the EPA from regulating carbon, and how to reduce the $1.6 trillion deficit with the Democrats kicking and screaming, how to beat them at it.
You know
and you know, Greta, when I was a kid, 15 years ago, I ran Bill Clinton's side of this fight. So now I'm suggesting a game plan for the Republicans for their side.
You know, I was surprised about in the book, as you mentioned the Koch brothers, and it's like they've almost been sort of undercover with their contributions, but you totally talk about how much, you know, about the fact that they're big contributors. Why did you put them in there?
Well, the Koch brothers have just done an enormous amount of wonderful things to fund and support conservative causes. They also funded the Metropolitan Opera and the Metropolitan Museum and give away over $100 million to charity. They really are an example of, they're the conservative equivalent to Bill Gates.
Well, you know, but I think that many people think that, will say they're the conservative equivalent of George Soros.
No, I think that George Soros fundamentally well, I mean, they disagree. So I think George Soros is destructive and Bill Gates and the Koch brothers are positive. But I suppose that's a fair comparison. They're each underwriting their political movements. I just happen to think the Koch brothers are right.
Dick, thank you. And, of course, dickmorris.com is the website as well. Thank you, Dick.